are doing function notation. Function notation. So this should be a review from last year. It's another review topic. We are doing function notation. Okay. Function notation. So write this on a new notes page. It's over here. Okay, so if you need the objective and the essential question, it's on the side like always. Our first question, we have evaluate each function for the given values. So I have f of t equals t squared minus 3, and I have f of negative 2. So what do you think I have to do on the first example?
T is negative.
Yeah, plug in negative 2 for what? Good, because this is the same as saying f of t, which means that t equals negative 2. And isn't that how I gave it to you on the warm-up? Yeah, so we're just doing a little bit of a different notation. So that means I have f of negative 2 equals negative 2 squared minus 3. So this is a question I had on the warm-up earlier. What is negative 2 quantity squared? This is positive 4 because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 minus 3. What is 4 minus 3? 1. So that's my answer. This is my first example. I'll slow down. Okay, now let's look at the second one. I have f of t equals negative 3t cubed minus 3t squared. And it says find f of negative 3. So what do I do in this one? What do I do? Yeah, in this one I have t equals negative 3. So f of negative 3 equals negative 3 times negative 3 quantity cubed minus 3 times negative 3 quantity squared. So I have negative 3 times, what is negative 3 quantity cubed? How do I find that? What's negative 3 times negative 3? Positive 9 times another negative 3. And negative 27. And I have 3 negative 3's, so that's my answer. What about negative 3 quantity squared? What's that?
9.
Positive 9. Good. So I have negative 3 times negative 27 is, we should have this, it was a warm-up, 81. And since I have a negative times a negative, it's positive 81. And what's negative 3 times 9? So I have a minus 27. So what does f of negative 3 equal? 54. And wasn't this the last warm-up question? But my notation is slightly different. Now I'm in function notation. It's the same idea. It's just a different way of notating the problem, okay? Okay, next two. Now I have g of a equals 3a plus 3. And I'm going to evaluate for the given values again. And I have g of negative 3. So what do I do?
Plug in negative 3.
Yeah, I have a equals negative 3 now, so I'm going to substitute that through. Okay, sorry. I'll slow down, I'm sorry. So I have g of negative 3 equals 3 times negative 3 plus 3. Okay. So you should all have this written down because I slowed down. So I have 3 times negative 3 is what? Negative 9 plus 3. What is my final answer? Negative 6. Thank you. Do we get that? Okay, what about the last one on here? What do I do? What does n equal? 9. So what do I do with that? I'm going to multiply the 9 through everywhere I have an n. Okay, what is 4 times 9?
36.
Good, I hope you know that one. 36 minus 3. What is 36 minus 3? 33, and that's going to be my final answer. Next, I have, I think, 2 more examples and a couple you tries. Okay, now I have solve for the given variable with the indicated information. I have g of a equals 3a plus 3. And then I am given g of a equals negative 6. So I have to solve for a. What is different about this compared to my last 4? I have to solve for a, right? I don't have g of a number, do I? So what do you think I have to do? Kind of. I have g of a equals negative 6, right? What else does g of a equal? What else does it equal? 3a plus 3. So what do you think I can do? Yeah, please listen, because this is the one that I noticed you guys struggle with the most. Okay? You can set them equal to each other. See how I have an equal sign? I have g of a equals negative 6, and g of a also equals 3a plus 3. So I'm going to set negative 6 equal to 3a plus 3. And now I want to solve for a. Do you see the difference between this one and the last one? On the last one, I plugged in a to solve for my function. Now I'm trying to solve for a. How do I get a by itself in this problem? I'm going to subtract 3 first. And then what do I get? Negative 9 equals 3a. What do I do next? Divide by 3. Good. So what does a equal? Good. Do you understand the difference between this one and the previous example? Okay. So when I have the equal sign like that, there's a good chance I'm going to have to set the number equal to the function. When I have it the other way, that means I'm going to plug it in, okay? So on the next one, I have h of n equals 33. What else does h of n equal? 4n minus 3. So I'm going to set them equal to each other. Is this okay so far? Do you remember seeing this? I feel like you guys are trying to say you didn't do anything last year, which is a lie. How do I solve for n? Subtract 3. I'm going to add 3. Thank you. So I get 36 equals 4n. How do I solve for n? Divide by 4. So what is n? 9. Thank you. Is that okay? Okay, I have 4 U-tries for you. Can I move on to that slide now? Here are our first set of U-tries. I have 4 of them. Okay, listen please. I'm going to help you because we will take a quiz eventually that looks something like this. You may see this on the S-back. So at the top, do you see how I've given you 3 functions? I've given you f of x, g of x, and h of x. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so on number 1, what's it asking me to do? Find what? The first one, what is it asking me to do? Find g of 7. So which function do I use for that problem? The g one, the second one, right? What about number 2? I'm going to use my f function and so on. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Can you try these ones for me, please? Okay, are you ready for your answers? Yes. Please check those 4 answers.
Oh, it was 13.
Okay, our last 4 examples together. Now I have perform the indicated operation. So I have g of t equals negative 4t minus 4, and f of t equals 3t minus 3. And it says evaluate g of 3 plus f of 3. So what do you think I have to do this time? I got to do some solving. It says perform the indicated operation. Do we remember what our operations are? No, you all keep forgetting. We have add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So what is my first operation on this question? What's this operation? So we're going to add, okay? So g of 3, do you know how to find g of 3 by itself? You just did that on all of those U-tries. Do you know how to find f of 3 by itself? Then I can add those 2 answers. So let's look at this. I have g of 3, okay, equals negative 4 times 3. Whoops, times 3.
Oh, we do them separate?
Yeah, we can do them separately and then add at the end. Minus 4. Oh, did that click?
My head hurt, but then I realized it.
But then you realize. Okay, so what is negative 4 times 3? Negative 12. We're getting better at that. And I still have minus 4. So G of 3 is what? What is negative 12 minus 4? Negative 16. Thank you. Okay. So I've found G of 3, right? What do I have to do next? Next, I have to find f of 3. Thank you, Alexis. So f of 3 equals 3 times 3 minus 3. So that's a lot of 3's. But what is 3 times 3? 9. And what is 9 minus 3?
6.
Good. So I have f of 3 equals 6. Now, did I find both of those in function notation? What's my last step then? I have to combine them by adding. So I have negative 16 plus 6 is negative 10. Good. And that's my final answer. Yeah. Okay. What's my operation on the second question? Subtraction. I'm subtracting. Yeah. No. Okay, next I have evaluate h of negative 1 minus g of negative 1. Okay. So I have h of negative 1 equals, can you start filling this one in with me? Because I know what you're doing. 4 times negative 1 plus 5. What is 4 times negative 1? Oh, I just gave you a compliment. Now you forgot how to do it. What's 4 times negative 1? 4. 4? Negative 4. What is negative 4 plus 5? Positive 1. Good, thank you. So I have h of negative 1 equals positive. Okay, so I just found h of negative 1 equals positive 1. Next, I have to find g of negative 1. So this is what we just did on all of the previous examples, except we did it separately, and we only found one of the functions, okay? So I have g of negative 1 equals negative 1 quantity squared plus 3 times negative 1, because that's my g function, yes? Okay, what is negative 1 quantity squared? Positive 1, good. And what about 3 times negative 1? Negative 3. So g of negative 1 is what then? Negative 2, okay? So I have h of 1 equals positive 1. Sorry, h of negative 1 equals positive 1. And g of negative 1 equals negative 2. So my operation says to subtract them. So I have 1 minus negative 2. How do I subtract a negative? So what is 1 plus 2?
3.
That's my final answer. Our last two. What are my operations here? Shh. I have multiply and divide. Okay, you've been doing so well. Let's bring it back in. We only have a few more minutes and then it's lunchtime, and I know you all are hungry because I am starving. So first, I have g of 1 times f of 2. Are my numbers the same? For g and f, are my numbers the same? No. Is that okay? Yeah, I'm just going to plug it in the same way I have been. So I have g of 1 equals negative 4 times 1 minus 4. Is that okay so far? Okay, what is negative 4 times 1? What? Some of you know. Negative 4, yes. I'm never going to give you a compliment again because you're going to forget what to do when I ask you a second time. So I have negative 4 minus 4. What is that? -8. Good. It's because you owe me $4 and you owe me $4 more, which means you should never talk to me because you are in a lot of debt to me. So you don't want to owe me that much money. So G of 1 is -8. So you are a lot of dollars in debt to me right now. Next is F of 2. So I have 3 times 2 minus 3. What is 3 times 2? 6 minus 3 is?
3.
That is +3. Whoops. So I have -8 times 3, which is? -24, and that's my answer. Is that okay so far? Okay. Right now, we got a few minutes. Last one. I have G of 2 divided by H of 1. So G of 2 equals 2 squared plus 3 times 2, because I'm just going to plug in my number everywhere I have a variable. I have 4 plus 6. So what is G of 2? 10. And I'm going through this arithmetic because it's things that I'm assuming you can do. And I hope you don't prove me wrong on the quiz and say, I can't do 3 times 2, because we'll have to have a conversation about that. Okay? And finally, I have to find H of 1. Now, H of 1 is 4 times 1 plus 5. What is 4 times 1? And what is 4 plus 5? Okay, so I'm going to divide them. I have 10 divided by 9. Can that be simplified? No. So that's my final answer. Remember, square roots can be answers, fractions can be answers, negatives can be answers. We don't always have a whole number, okay?